Hello guys, NautoAis here, and I want to give my impression of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 Edition, as well the companion app, the Zelda Note. So if you have a Switch 2 and you have the Nintendo Switch Online and expansion pack, you get to download the Switch 2 edition for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom for free as part of it. Kind of like for the Switch 1, the DLC for Splatoon 2, Mario Kart 8, and Animal Crossing. And this update is basically just $10. And what it is for the game itself. It makes the game 60 frames and the graphic been high res. So it's kind of been smooth. And the gameplay, I wouldn't really say improve, but because of the frame rate, it kind of helps. So I've been playing it, trying to build up the Zelda Note, the memory voice, and at the same time looking at the graphic, the enemies, how Link moves, and anything that's 60 frame and to some extent 4K is always going to look good. So they were some minor graphic improvement for the Switch 2 edition. But to some extent, do you really need this Switch 2 edition? And the answer for that one is, unless you're new to the Zelda series and you bought the Switch 2, maybe. But of course, as of right now, the MSRP is very, very expensive because the Switch 1 version are $59 and $69 respectively, and each of them are $10 for the update. It doesn't even include the DLC. So the Switch 2 edition technically is, you just have a updated game. But if you already have the game, you can just pay $10. But for Breath of the Wild, the DLC, you still have to pay $20. So it gets very expensive. So it's really, really kind of tricky. So when you're starting, I don't know, yes or no. But for somebody who already bought the game, maybe to some extent. But again, I kind of mentioned this in a different video in my secondary channel is, you probably want to play a new game than just going back just to be all about the graphic. Because, it looks nice, but if you already played the game, you clocking even more than 100 hours, I don't think you can enjoy more with the Switch 2 edition. However, with the Switch 2 edition, there is some sort of compensation, and that is the Zelda Note. So I'm going to be focused more about the Zelda Note. And again, should you buy the Switch 2 edition if you already played the game? And the answer to something like I said, no. And with the Zelda Note, does it really help? Kind of say, maybe I'll try the Switch 2 edition. Again, unless you have the expansion pack, I would not really recommend getting the Switch 2 edition. But what it does with the Zelda Note is there are something that can help you. First of all, navigation feature, which will help you find those hidden collectibles. So especially the Korok. People complain about it, 600 Korok for both games. Now, finally, with the Zelda Note, it's a helpful navigation. Even other hidden stuff, especially in Tears of the Kingdom with Allison, and then to some extent, some other treasure, important ones. It will help you find those without walking around. That's the whole point, but it makes it easy. Another one is the voice memory, basically the backstory of the game. Really interesting. If you into the lore, but again, that's what I did. That's the reason I decided to play it for a while. Basically, taking up my time doing it to complete the voice memory for both game. A lot of interesting story, ebook type of thing. But again, if you don't really care about the story, then you're probably not going to care about this one. And then, of course, the Amiibo collection. So, Zelda Amiibo, 32 as of right now total. You scan them, it keeps the record. And the new feature that's probably going to help you, like I said in the secondary channel about it, is that if you scan it 5 times, the 5th time you can scan it twice, because normally it's just 1 per day. But if you basically do it 5 times, the 6th time, in the same day, there you go, again, more item, makes the game easy. Play data is the ones probably, if you're an achievement fan, it does help you build up your medals. And I noticed a lot of the challenges for the medals is basically collect this, find that, travel, beat the bad guy, progress the story. It's your typical trophies and achievement medals. So why are they not doing it? In my second channel, I did say that it might not be because of philosophy. It may be to some extent. It's more of how do we do it? Do we have the knowledge? So they're sort of compensating with the medals here. But it would be nice to be in the game. And I did like a Photoshop. And if you watch one of my episodes in the future, you might see the Photoshop Nintendo achievement, but that's beside the point. And then other things are also item sharing for both game, makes it easy. Tears of the Kingdom also have the auto build again. Cool it is. And then you also get achievement for that one. How funny. And then of course other things also are, there are also other things about the game. So it depends which one. But to some extent, the idea of the Zelda Note is just to help you. Mainly, beside giving a motivation to play the game to earn medals, but it's to find collectibles, because especially Korok, like I said, is bad. Especially the second game, when you have to find a lot of things, it makes the game easy, because there's also a GPS, yes. If you turn it on, there's going to be a voice that tells you where to go. And it'll help you throughout, again, save some time, because going there blindly, because, that's the whole point. Not a lot of people like it. They just give up on it. And that's why. So it's sort of a compensation there. So there you go, my impression of the Zelda Note. The companion app for the Switch 2 edition for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And to some extent, yeah, it does help. But are you really going to go back to it? I mean, maybe for the voice memory. I did it, but to some extent, it's like, cool and all. But to some extent, it's not really something that you really want to do it. So, like, if you already played the game enough time, you're probably not going to go back to it. Again, Zelda in 60 frame, 4K is a good thing. So maybe the next Zelda game, that's going to happen, because if you play Age of Imprisonment, it is in 60 frame. People do like it. I played it. Fun. So maybe the next main Zelda game, which is probably going to be a long time, I don't know yet when, that's probably going to be, it's going to be 4K in 60 frame, but we just have to wait to see. So with that said, that's it. My impression of the Zelda Note and the Switch 2 edition for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Overall, like I said, not really recommended even you play it. Going back to it, probably it's not going to give you incentive for it. Just saying there. So I would give this, believe it or not, a 6 out of 10. Why is that? First of all, for the Switch 2 edition, to some extent it's kind of like too late, because people already played it if they want to. Only newcomer, the casual maybe, but these games are long if you wanted to make them long. The Zelda Note will help you, but to some extent it's a gimmick. You need a cell phone. And of course, you got to keep in mind that the program, the app, does take a lot of batteries. So just be wary about that one, because it happened to me multiple times. I have to keep charging my phone. And the rest, it's just helpful stuff. But again, unless you knew somebody who's been playing the Zelda for and clocked in a lot of hours, you're probably not going to go back to it. That's why a 7 out of 10. Because it's not bad, but to some extent, you're really not going to go back to it. So that's my impression. With that, I'll see you guys later.